Tribe Yoga Fit Transformational Coaching. This is Erin, and today I have a special guest. It's a recording artist, producer, musician, and someone who I have been playing in some of my breath workshops as well as in my yoga classes. And I happened across him on socials, and we came together in this interview. And so, thank you so much for being on the podcast, Lukas.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. So Alchemy Sound. I thought that was such an amazing title for your, I guess, like your production, your company, your music. And because I've always loved the word alchemy.
Hmm.
And when people listen to your music, there's an inner alchemy that starts to happen, I think. So, for those of my listeners who don't know who you are, would you care to share like your journey and what you're doing now with music that's been so inspiring for me and a lot of other people?
Yeah, sure. Well, Alchemy Sound was is my latest project. I had a couple of projects in the past, and it's been really funny how this came together because it just happened from pure excitement, and it was at a transition phase that I had a very yeah like strong, I would say, transition phase where I had my previous project, which was kind of like my first like serious project where I made some moves in my musical career. And with that project, there was a time, so I had it in, I focused it on for like 3 years, 4 years, and then there was a time in 2022 where I felt like, well, I do not feel the same excitement about it anymore than I
Mm,
felt before. And I was already on deeply into my inner journey at that point. So somehow this project, my last project, and my inner journey started simultaneously, but it was something that was always kind of like two worlds. So I had myself as an artist, this project, and then I had my inner journey, which was meditation, which was breath work, which was just gathering wisdom from all different kinds of cultures, Buddhism, mostly, and other cultures as well, and just that was kind of like two worlds that I lived in. And then through breathwork, actually, it started to come together. And in 2022, when this shift happened, when this realization happened inside, I came across a YouTube channel, which is called Breathwork Beats, from my friend Dan Vatney, and I was just blown away by. I was already into breathwork and doing breathwork, but I never saw this before and did this before, where someone fused the breath with rhythmic music, and the
mm.
music that actually like sounds cool, where you're like, okay, like I would listen to that even without the breathing. And so I
Right.
was really really stoked by it, and I was like, wow, well, who is that, and what is that? And I just kept like doing his videos on and on. And at some point, I just decided to send him over. I never created a beat or a music track like that, but I just trusted my experience. So I created it on one Sunday morning. I woke up, okay, let's just do it and send it to him and see what happens, with no intentions at all. And he received it, he loved it, and yeah, fast forward, like from then we started working together, and actually that was when Alchemy Sound was born. Back then, under the name Breathwork Beats, under his channel, I was creating the music, he was creating the videos,
Ah, okay.
and so that was how Alchemy Sound was first born. So it definitely was born from the inspiration of breathwork, infusing
Right.
music with the breath, and just the excitement that came from that. And the actual name, which it carries now, Alchemy Sound, that came actually a little bit later, like I think 2 years later. I just decided I want to make it more of kind of like my own thing, and there were a lot of like signs happening that showed me like, oh, that's okay. That's supposed to be my main project. It was kind of like a difficult lesson for me to accept. Oh, that's like the next thing. That's like the next
Right.
phase. This project, because I had a hard time transitioning from pop EDM artist into breathwork wellness, kind of like that space
There's
with
a
my
little gap
music.
in the transition there.
And I was just like, I don't know, like I was still a little bit attached with my ego. I was like, is that cool enough? Like, what do the people think that already know me and blah blah, like all that bullshit. And
Mm,
I just had to. to surrender and trust more and more. It was a slow process, but there were so many signs that were just like undeniable of like my Spotify. It was always growing. Like people came to me like without me doing anything. They told me like, wow, I discovered your music. I want to work with you. Or, coaches and all these spaces. And that's how it came together. And it started from this natural excitement for breathwork and for music creation. It opened up, first of all, it opened this whole new space of creativity and how I
Mm.
can creatively express myself. And then through sharing it with the people, either working with some of the most, renowned coaches in the wellness space, or just sharing my music on Spotify and seeing it grow, and then people receiving it, and they actually like, they text us and they send us messages or emails, and then it's like, yo, that the music it's doing something. Like it changed something very, very deeply. It changed, for some people, it changed their life. It helped them in a very difficult phase. It built a connection with something they had lost within them or forgotten within them. And that was kind of like the full circle moment for me. It was like, wow, okay, that something is happening there. And I just want to explore that deeper. Like, how deep can I impact others with the music in
Mm.
terms of like, how deep can the music help them to reconnect to something so strong and innate within us. You can call it our
Mm.
soul, maybe our soul's truth. And how is the music combined with the breath, of course, like able to help with that reconnection? And up until this day, it somehow works. I cannot, like I cannot
You got
100% like
the frequency,
tell
let's
you like
let's
how it happens,
continue.
but it seems to work. And yeah, it's just like a constant learning for me as well, to like, sharing it with people, getting the feedback, and then also with myself and the process. And I just thought about it yesterday, it was like when the moment I shared the music and the craft with others, it like, and especially it happened, I would say like last year. It was like the biggest phase there up until now, where it had the biggest momentum, it gained momentum, and it more and more people were like receiving the music, and I feel like something opened there, like some kind of like
Mhm.
field opened.
Vortex, maybe something.
Maybe, I don't know. And it's like I never received feedback like that before from people.
Mm.
And I was also going back into the live space this year and doing some live sessions, live events as well, where I'm sharing the breathwork and the music, and people were never sharing that with me before. And interestingly, I also noticed when I'm creating the music, there's something new that happened, there's something new that opened, because I've never like experienced feeling and seeing things when I'm creating the music and tapping into that intention of what's behind the music and the songs,
Mhm.
um, than ever before. It's like, yeah, it's somehow it's growing, with it's a communication that I
Yeah.
have with the people who receive it in some way, and this way it's evolving and it's growing, and it's just, yeah, it's beautiful to see that. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a certain energy about you. And there's, when your cells are mostly water and they have that
Mm.
piezoelectricity, you're sending that out, vibration, frequency, music. And then I
Mm.
think, people can feel that. And then if you're tapping into your dharma, which you definitely are, then you have that sort of universal current that's going through you and people are drawn to it. It's like magnetism, frequency, and it's just like syncing up. That's how I felt when I listened to your music. I was like, what? I was like, this is dope. And so as a
Nice.
yogi, I was like practicing to it. I may have done like a few reels, me doing handstands and stuff because it's just got such like a sick beat. And
Mm.
then I'm presenting breath workshops and I was like, there's this music I found recently that has a really solid beat because it helps it's like the percussion element almost that helps people to stay within themselves. It's like the heartbeat, it brings them
Yeah.
back into their body. And you saying that this was born from excitement and
Mm.
then everything else is kind of coming together is like you're in that space of manifestation of, for me it's joy, For you, maybe
Mm.
it's excitement or some flavor of that, and you've basically like magnetized yourself. So
Yeah.
it's amazing. So I also want to say like there is such a beautiful value in meeting other people on the path. And then, like, you
Mm.
might enter each other's lives for a little bit for them to ignite something within you, for them to, show you what's possible. It was like all of a sudden you were just like, whoa, this exists. And it kind of gave you permission to pursue, maybe it activated something within you.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it's that, and of course you never go, your path, when you walk your path, it's you never really walk it alone. um and there's always, other souls on your path who inspire you, who help you to unlock something, to remember, how I like to call it.
Mm,
um and we help each other to remember why we're here, and what we are meant to do here. And also this whole project with Alchemy Sound, it was just like and I think that was just like always throughout my projects. I felt that I wanted to create something that's different, like just like something that's, because when I was listening, I was like a little bit pissed off, like when I was listening to music that was used on, like, especially like, for yoga, or you had meditation or something, like it was not taking me deep enough. It was like,
mm.
sorry, it's like pisses me off, like this generic sound, and I just want to create something different. So like my ego was inspired to like just like, okay, I want to push something different. And this is, I don't know, this is just like, it's funny because when I look at it now, I see how it's been manifesting itself, and it actually happens the less you put your attention to it, and the more you let go of it. So I set this intention one time probably, and it was very strong, of like, okay, I want to create something new,
Mm.
but I was not like clinging to it and not like forcefully trying to create something new. It is just like following naturally. When I create the music, I just follow what feels exciting. Like I'm sitting down on a new project, I'm playing some chords, I'm playing some melodies, and then I feel like, ooh, this the feeling like this, ooh, okay,
You're like, oh, I feel
let's
it.
build on that. Yeah,
Let's
let's
do
build on
it.
that. And then somehow it when you follow that, when you follow through with that, it magically comes together as something different.
Yeah.
And that's why I was never really a fan of like, and I have one of my best friends who is an amazing producer, and he's just naturally excited by recreating genres. For example, like he's telling me about these new crazy like African genres, and he's like, yo, I just discovered that. And I was like, what is that? Like, I never heard about that before. But he's so excited about it, and then recreating it. I'm not
Mm,
so excited about recreating an exact same genre. I was rather more excited about how can I take elements of that inspire me, maybe, and that I love, and then just bringing it together in the project. Because not everything excites me about it, but it's maybe the different elements. And I love like putting together all these different, drawing inspiration from different cultures, from different genres. Like I grew up with basically like all everything that you can imagine, like musically. And
Were any of your
from
were you influenced by any of like your family, parents, anything like that, like
Oh
growing
yeah,
up?
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. I'm
Who's
very grateful
house?
for that. My so I feel like through my mom and my dad always, my when I was since I was a child, like my mom was like blasting me with CDs and music like from the 80s, like a lot. That was kind of like when my mom was into like Michael Jackson, Depeche Mode, uh Billy Idol, like all
Good
these
stuff.
artists.
Go mom.
And it was really blessed with that. And then my sister also, like when I was 6 years old, that was like kind of like the first conscious memory that I have, was handing me that MP3 Intenso MP3 player back then. And she had like a bunch of like different songs, and they also throughout different genres like rock, Linkin Park, and metal, and some rap and some German stuff. And so I feel like I was like from the beginning, I was like, yeah, I was facing a lot of different like music styles and genres. And that kind of like, that's what I connect to this alchemy concept as well. Like of course, like alchemy is also, you take like alchemy, you take something, you take like a base element, you turn it into something new, or you take a if you see it on a vibrational basis, you turn one vibrational state into another vibrational state.
Mm-hmm.
But referring to The Alchemist, to the book from Paulo Coelho, which was
One of my
probably the
favorites.
biggest, for me as well, and which was the biggest inspiration for that. And I just love how, without spoiling too much for anyone who didn't read it, but that in this book, Santiago, when he learned, the alchemy of life, it was also about like, he learned like to read the language of like, or the language of the world, I think they call it in the book. So when he listened to the wind, when he watched the birds, they were all communicating with him in a different way. So life was always speaking with him. And when you're still and you just listen closely, you'll hear it. And you can communicate with life. And that somehow requires for you, first of all, to be still and to listen, but also to have knowledge, about different areas, like about different areas of life. And I see that in the same way with music. And that's probably like me having listened to so many different genres and like being excited about listening to these genres, like diving deeper and learning from it and then bringing it together. That's kind of like also a part of this alchemy, is like learning from all these different areas, all these different sides, and not just musically, but also about, the breath, then about, certain like wisdom areas as well. So that is kind of like the essence, at least, that the word alchemy like holds for me, and how it comes together in this project, probably.
You thread together spirituality, like it's just baked in, so you can tell that you've
Yeah.
done the inner alchemy and it's expressing through your music. And I think
Mm.
that was, another thing that drew me as well as other people. So the first song that I heard of yours was The Gift. And
Mm.
I'm curious, is that song about shadow work and working through that and how there's a gift on the other side? The lyrics don't populate in Spotify, but I thought, you're the person to ask.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. You could say it's shadow work. It's actually from the Gene Keys. Um, do you know that book, the Gene Keys?
Mm-mm.
A very, very powerful book. It's
Sounds like I'm gonna have to read another book.
oh,
I'm here for it.
this one will go deep. So this one was one of these books where I can say like this, these one of these books in your life that changed your life from like 180 basically.
Mm.
That opened up something. Yeah, and when I read it, it's from Richard Rudd. I was just like, every fucking chapter was just like, what the hell? Like, I've never read something like that before. That's insane.
Mm.
And yeah, so that was one part of the Gene Keys. So in the Gene Keys, the concept is basically that your genes, they have codes, and some codes are awake within you and some codes are asleep.
Mm.
And the asleep side of the codes is basically like the shadow side, you would call them. So every gene key, I think it's based on the Chinese I Ching. So there's like 64 gene keys. There's this connection to this number like 64, which is like very, very old. And the I Ching is like thousands of years old. So it's kind of like a mix of epigenetics and astrology and spirituality and like bringing all that together. And he channeled that book years ago, and he like wrote it within like 7 years and brought it together. Amazing book. And every gene key basically is like holds one code, and it has 3 levels. So there's the shadow level, which is mostly connected to fear, some kind of fear on the shadow side.
Sure.
Once you see the shadow, and once you accept the shadow, you're moving into the gifts. And the gift is basically like the it's starting to be like the gift on the other side of it, you could say. Then you
Like
start
working
to
through
express it.
integrating. Yeah.
Once you accept it, once you don't run away from it anymore, once you see it, it's starting to bloom actually, and the gift behind it is starting to bloom. And then the third stage is the CD stage, which is kind of like the embodiment stage of what the code actually is. And then it's like the full-blown lotus basically, and you're when you are at the city stage, you have fully transcended the shadow stage and the
Mm.
gift stage, and then you're embodying like what the code actually like holds to its fullest. So it's very, very interesting. And you have like, every one of us has like a profile. You can like put in your, like birthday and all that, and it,
I'm
it
gonna have to get
calculates
that
your
info from
profile.
you after this.
Yeah. Yeah, or there's like a free profile that you can also do like online, the Gene Keys, and they give you, it's very powerful, it's very interesting. And then
Mm.
yeah, because I was so inspired by it, somehow I had to work that into a song, and this
Had
was
to throw some
the
sick beats
gift.
over it and
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, shadow work is near and dear to my heart. I think that
Hmm.
people, like you mentioned, there's fear around it. And it can be so hard for us to accept ourselves, but there is
Yeah.
a gift in accepting ourselves because then we're able to access deeper parts of ourselves and then eventually integrate. And what I found, so, just fusion in different arts. I like traditional Indian arts, like Kalari Payattu is an
Mm.
ancient Indian art, and then yoga and chanting mantra. These things came into a fusion for me, and now there's something beautiful and unique that's being produced, like by me with all my students. And
Mm.
for me to go back into martial arts, I had to really
Mm.
address some anger that I had. And I went and I trained in a mud hut in India for a month.
Oh
And
wow.
my teacher was beating me with a stick because I kept just, I was so tired and he kept hitting me. I was like, why are you not hitting her? But he saw something in me and he wanted to beat it out apparently. So he beat me until I looked at him. I was like, ah, like so much, just like rage. And he looked at me
uh,
and he loved me. He smiled at me and did like the
mm.
little head nod. And that allowed me to be seen and gave me permission to accept that
Mm.
darkness that I had. And in that moment, as far as alchemy, all of the rage and anger went inside of me and vibrated differently. And all of a sudden, I was jumping across the room, whereas I had no energy. I was at 110%. Grab my stick. I'm like doing martial arts. And he's like, whoa, like, what have I unleashed?
That's
But
powerful.
yeah, yeah. So that's, yeah, I mean, that story might exemplify as well as your story, like the power of alchemy. And we're so afraid to be intimate with those dark spaces that exist within. But then, it's inspiring to see other people who have touched that space inside of them and then came out on the other side. And there's just a wholeness to them. There's a presence, there's
Mm.
an unshakable connection.
Mm.
So, that's so beautiful. The next song that I really connected was Desert Lands. Did I say that correctly?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that one, I don't know if I can quote it perfectly, but it's essentially if a flower can bloom in a desert, then you can essentially flourish anywhere.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about that as far as I don't know if that's connected to part of your journey, but I figured it might be.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, and taking this one, because to be very honest, I never, after I used that, and it's like I
Mhm.
read that once and I was like, that sounds, it just resonates very deeply. I never really thought about it after it. But it's interesting that we're tackling it now. A flower, if a flower can grow in the desert, you can flourish everywhere. It feels like it's tackling this, what we see as, on one hand, I feel tackling this, what we see as impossible sometimes, or what we would deem as, oh, like, it's just, I could never imagine doing that. Like, it feels like it's impossible for me, like, to be able to, whatever it is, the flower that's flourishing in the desert, right? These dire situations in the desert, like
Mhm.
hot, no water, um, it's dry all the time. So how can a flower like flourish in these harsh environments? So first of all, it's just like this overview of like, oh, it is very much possible. And then the other thing is like the flower probably learns from the environment, and it's kind of like adaptation to the environment. So the flower,
Resilience.
resilience also, and the flower learns from the environment and what it has, what is given to the flower, to the environment. It doesn't, the flower doesn't say like, oh my god, it's like, it's like sitting beneath the ground, like it's so hot and it's so dry here, like I don't want to grow, like, no, it's like the flower is like learning from the environment and taking what it's been given and using that to grow, basically, because there's no other thing. And it links back to what you said before, which is from shadow work, which starts with the acceptance, and it
Yeah.
starts with not running away anymore. And maybe that connects there because it's a good example, and that's definitely something that's at my at the core of what I'm what I'm sharing with my work, but also just in like in conversations, when I have conversations with someone and I see, oh, they have a difficult time, then most of the time it's us trying to run away from what actually is,
Mm.
and trying to push it away, or trying to not, we don't want to have it. I want to have this, I don't want to have this. So
Yeah.
we first of all, we don't take the moment as it is, which is the very foundation of transcendence, of whatever we want to transcend. It is first, it's the acceptance, and it's feeling that. That's what your master did in India. He was trying to get the truth out of you, and the
Yeah.
truth is whether it's nor not negative nor it's positive. It's both at the same time. It's neutral in that way. We deem something as like negative or positive, and there's definitely different charged energy, like different frequency, different vibration, like of a certain state that you're in. But
Sure.
generally, that's what I heard, like from your story as well, and that's something that is very, very dear to my heart and important for me as well. When I'm in a conversation with someone, or I'm with someone, I don't care if what they bring up is like what you would deem negative or positive or whatever, if it's true for them in that moment. And that could also be just the truth of like, I'm feeling like shit right now. I feel like shit. I don't feel good. Or I'm scared. I'm afraid of this or that. Because we are so busy hiding all these things and trying to fix us in front of
Yeah.
others, right? And it's easier to do that, to open up in front of some people than other people. Like if I'm in a bar and I'm meeting someone, and it's probably, there's also some programs going on within me, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be like, from showing myself from the
Be
best
normal. Be
side.
normal.
But generally, that's just like when you're building a connection with someone, right? At some point, I'm getting tired of like playing around, basically, and just like staying on the surface. And it's just like, I want to get deep with people when I'm in a conversation, and just see, are they able to like share their truth in that moment. And that's just an unmatched resonance that you feel.
Mhm.
Unmatched. It's a feeling of authenticity, and that vibrates at such a high rate. It's
Mhm.
crazy. Like when you sit with someone and they share something from like that's dear to their heart, they share their truth, and you probably know that this, like, it's like it's crazy, like what you feel. And it doesn't matter if it's a negative topic or if it's a positive topic. It's a high vibrating frequency if someone is sharing their truth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
They're letting go of anything that is, veiling it, like the veil of Maya, and they're letting you see the humanness, the vulnerability, but also
mhm,
there's a bit of grace that one has to have for themselves, which is, divinity, to be able to verbalize it and then show that to you. It's tender, it's sacred. I like to say that we are living sacred scripture. I'm a big fan of the Yoga
mhm,
Sutras. I'm always quoting them. Where the Sukha Anushai Ragaha, Dukkha Anushai Dveshaha. We're always running towards those pleasures, going away from things that like we want to avert from, avoiding ourselves, when the,
mhm.
the truth is within, peace is within, happiness is within. And so, being connected with someone, if they open up their dark parts, which I do coaching and stuff like that. So I always hear that stuff. When somebody opens up to that level, I love them because they allow it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then you have like someone who's like, oh, I hope I did not, bother you too much with that, or like, oh, I'm so sorry that I shared that. And I'm like, oh, it's like, no, like it's exactly the opposite. Like I had the situation today, right, with my mom, and I'm visiting my family right now here in Germany, and well, she's going through I would say like a dark night of the soul. Even no, I wouldn't say like it's not a dark night of the soul. It's more like a dark night of the ego, and like shedding the ego more and more. Um, where it's like a very powerful transitional phase right now, and we had this kind of like conversation as well, and I'm just feeling that energy, like this, like when she finally like opens up and shares that, it's like this, yes, like finally. And then after, she's like, oh, I hope I didn't like bother you too much with that, now that you're here for like the short time, and I want to be. And I'm like, don't worry, like it's the exact opposite. Like it gives me a lot of energy, like when I feel like someone is opening up. And then I'm also maybe like able to help in some way.
Mm.
So yeah, it's the exact opposite, and it's a good reminder for all of us, right? Because we all have these situations where also we hide our truth, and we
Mm.
hide ourselves, and we just try to show ourselves like from the best side possible. And I feel it's just about like, and this is why relationships are also so important, is like going into it, going into these relationships and like just digging deeper and deeper and deeper. Like once you unlock the new level, like there's a new layer of ego coming up, and it's like now it's maybe you have progressed in some kind of way, but now there's like it goes deeper. There's like a deeper layer that you didn't see before, and now that's coming up, and it's just like about that and seeing it and going through it, and then step by step transcending all these different layers of ego. Um,
And to do
until
that in a
you,
partnership is difficult because many people,
of course.
especially if it's difficult, one person doing inner work, two people doing inner work that also have chemistry and all these things and committed to each other, as the layers kind of come off that are less flattering, to have
Mm,
acceptance and love, and then tools, some kind of discipline practice to be able to work through that. It's can be difficult to find.
absolutely, absolutely, and I feel like this is where the breath also is so powerful, because the breath is many things, right? But in this connection, the breath is kind of like this. It's the break, the break between the action and the reaction. Like there's something happening from the, let's say you're getting triggered by someone,
Mm.
right, in a partnership. They're saying something that triggers you, and now
Yeah.
the breath allows you to like
Take a breath.
not react right away. And
Mhm.
so of course that takes some practice as well, but it is initially that it's a very powerful tool in that moment that allows us to just like step back from this like automatic reaction that we have, and then okay, just choose, do we want to explode, or is there another way how I can respond to that situation? And yeah, this I feel like where the breath also plays a powerful role.
Yeah, the sacred pause, as Tara Brach would say.
Yeah.
And then you get to, as I like to put it, choose your adventure. So if you have the spaciousness and you're like, I do want to say the thing, if you can think, how is that going to end up? What's that going to result in? Choose your
Ah,
adventure.
yeah.
You're an adult, right? But hopefully, if you have the spaciousness and you connect with the feelings that are underneath, the needs that need to be expressed, maybe connecting with that other person, hopefully it allows us to, what's the saying, carry a big stick and walk lightly, something like that, walk softly.
Mm.
Yeah. So I'm curious about, I love all these little conversations that are, I knew that this would happen if I asked you about it. Your latest, one of your latest at least, Rise. Is Rise your latest
Mm.
release?
It's not the latest release, but it's definitely the latest release, which got the most attention, I would say.
It's
So,
still newborn
yeah,
baby status. Yeah.
yeah,
So the feeling from that, well, I added that to my breathwork playlist.
nice.
I was like, oh, this is amazing. And one of my favorite parts about it, Lucas, is when I
Mm.
saw on socials, like you had a reel and you were playing it and you're just like you're like so you're so excited and feeling yourself. I was like, yeah. I was like, because that's how I feel when I listen to this. And so like just seeing the enthusiasm. it's like people are connecting with that frequency as well. So
Mm.
I very much appreciate that. So, anyways, the inspiration for Rise, or like, can you tell us anything about that?
Oh yeah, I'm happy to do
Hmm.
so. It's a very, very funny story. So actually, I started the very first idea of Rise. Started when I was in India actually. So I spent about 3 months in India this year.
Mm.
I was in Rishikesh most of the time, and then I spent a few weeks in Goa. And so the initial idea of, started before that. No, I think it started in India, and I was just like, yeah, sounds cool, but I don't have like further ideas, so I was just like putting it aside, basically putting it, on ice for now, and then like months and months passed, and then somehow when I was in Goa, I started watching The Witcher season 4 on Netflix. If you know that series, like this,
Yes,
do you know
yeah.
The Witcher? Yeah,
Yes, I do. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's like the warrior archetype is just like the most resonant for me. It's
Mhm.
just like I'm just naturally drawn by
Same.
these like warrior
Hmm.
stories. Just yeah, that's probably why I felt like connected to you as well. Like I was like, so when you told the story with your martial arts trainer. Um, I just felt very resonant. And then I was like, "What? I want to create something. I want to create a song that captures this warrior energy." And I did a couple of ideas like the years before, but never really got like to something in that way. I just sat down and I came across that idea again, that I started in Rishikesh, and I don't know how it happened actually. I was just like building it like in one morning, the main idea of it, and I was just so in flow. It was so fun, like to create it, and not really thinking about it. And I just remember that I sent it to a friend the same day after I created it. I was like, "Oh my god, you have to listen to that!" And I was just excited about it. I was like, "Okay, it's good." Like I never expected what happened after that, but I sent
Sure.
it to her, and she was like sending a video back to me where she like got goosebumps where she listened to it. She was like, I very rarely when I listen to music I have that reaction. So I was like, interesting. And right after this when I sent that to her, I recorded the video where I was listening to it and reacted to it that went viral on Instagram. So it all happened basically in one morning, you could say.
That's a great morning. It
That's
was
like
very
the main thing. So,
stimulating.
and yeah, it was just like, and the funny thing is, like, I was letting it go after that. I was just like, okay, it's a nice vibe. It's really cool. It like excites me. And, when you created something like that, you listen to it a couple of times throughout the day. But I was very much forgetting about it. I think for like the next 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was heading over to the US, and actually I only posted it when I was in Los Angeles in the US, and that was like 4 weeks later or something like that, with no expectations at all. Um, and yeah, the rest is history, I would say.
Yeah, it really worked out. So were you taking a training in India or?
No, it was. I was following my soul's calling, I would say. So I was in Georgia before that, in the country.
Not in the
And I
state.
lived there. Not the state, no. I always had, yeah, when I say that. And I lived there for about 2 months. One of my best friends lived there, and I visited him, and we created some projects. And yeah, it was an interesting time. And there I had a meditation basically where I saw, or where I heard, I don't know, both at the same time, that the next stage, the next step is India for me. And it was in my field before. I knew I want to go there. But that was a very clear message. So
Mm.
from Georgia, I booked the call basically to the flight to Rishikesh, and I was just there to. I didn't know what's happening there, to be very honest. Like I
It's
was
funny
just
when you listen to
going
like
there.
in intuition,
Mm-hmm.
it's because I've done similar things like training in India, and it's just like your heart
Mm.
calls and you listen. When you try to like logify it, like I don't really know, my heart told me to go, and to some people it might sound, I don't know, irresponsible, reckless or something, but it's more of like, no, where there's an element of surrender where it's out of the realm of the mind, where
Oh
you
yeah,
just like, so kudos to you for listening to the call, because there's a lot of people that have these calls, but they
yeah,
don't have the courage. There's some sort of resistance within them. And there's a Sanskrit word, it's Shraddha, and it's like faith on the spiritual path, like that the next stone's going to appear, that, keep
Mm,
showing up for your practices, keep being in your dharma, and like it's going to unfold like poetry. So,
mm.
and that's kind of what it reminds me of. And it's nice to like hear inspiration from you, from other people. I know that like on my path, I followed that a lot, but so it seems to have done good for you is to keep listening to your intuition.
Yeah, I tell you, that's for me. That's the only sane thing to do. Because what is the alternative? Like so f- you're here for a reason, right?
Mm,
Like we know that we are not flesh at the core, that this body is we all know to a certain extent. We have a feeling about it, even if we're not knowing about it in the same way, but we know that this body, this vessel that we have, this life that we have, is a temporary experience. So what is behind that? What is the eternal part behind it, or at least like the longer stretching part behind it, which is what we can call the soul, our origin point. And we are here to walk the path. Our soul didn't came here for like no reason, like at all. There's something that we're why we're here for.
yeah.
That's why I'm talking about when I talk about the remembering part of it, is like remembering step by step. First of all, oh, okay, there is something beyond this life, this experience that I have right now, and really reconnecting with it. And then once we start to tap into our intuition, that's how our soul is talking and communicating with us. Basically, we're connecting deeper. But the thing is, we are here. That's why I believe we're here for a reason. We are here to walk our soul's path, whatever God, the source, what you want to call it, has given us, has given our soul as a plan, as a mission to fulfill. Basically,
Mm,
that's what we're here for. So there's no playing around. Basically, so the only sane way to walk this path here on earth is actually to listen to our soul. And again, our soul is speaking to us through intuition. Intuition we feel in our heart, sometimes in our gut as well, which is kind of like, this the second heart.
yeah.
And that's when we really want to follow the path, and something really like new is unfolding, because the brain is a decoding machine. Like it takes in information, it translates it, it stores some of it on as memory. And we need memory. It's important for like small things, and to, I don't know, like after an event, find our way back home, right? um but it's not the main driver when it's about like continuing to walk our path. If we follow the brain, we're running in circles at some
Yeah.
point. We're running in circles. And you can see that, like, people who like hold on to their like logical ways of living and always following their brain, they're running in circles. And at some point it feels like stagnation, and they just feel like energy is like drawn out of them like all the time, and it just feels like very hard and struggle to go through life. That's because you don't make space for new to happen, because you don't shift the
Yeah.
the levels. Like, you're still
There's
on
a
that level.
disconnect. Yeah.
Yeah, and you well, maybe you have to shift to the level, to the heart, and like you approach it in a different way. And now it's time to trust and surrender, rather than to follow the logical thinking. And I don't say that it's always that, but there's different phases in life where we can decide, like, we let this part lead us, and we let this part lead us. There's also uh, some cultures, and or like in Buddhism, or I don't know, masters would probably say, like, you can always, you just let go. Like, you don't need plans at all. Like, this is probably me as a German. Like, I like to plan things, and just to have an
Like you
idea
have
and
some
like
marker points.
go through it. But I'm practicing myself, and even there, letting go more than I would normally do, right? And it's a challenge, of course, because it's a different level. I've been running through my life mostly after my logical thinking in my brain, but in the end, it's like it's that's the insane part. It's like when you, and we it got completely twisted. Like we've been taught the exact opposite way in our life, right? Whether it was school, uh, I don't know what other institutions are, like university, whatever. Like there, it's all about like the IQ. It's all about like the intelligence of the brain and the mind. And yes, it makes sense to a certain point, but it's too much emphasis on that.
Yes, I
And
agree.
that's how we learned how to go through life. And this is why most of us are, feel stuck or struggle, and
Mhm.
why we have a lot of like suffering as well in that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like following the heart and listening to the intuition is actually a very real thing. It's not just some woo woo shit. It's the actual like thing we ought to do here.
There's this
Yeah.
iconography of a Shiva Nataraj where he's doing the Ananda Tandava, and he has the Abhaya Mudra up, which is no fear. And he has one foot down on the ego. He doesn't crush the ego, but he has one foot on it. His arm is covering his heart. So it's like when in those spaces are the signal to God or source is disrupted or disconnected, he has a finger pointing down and he has one leg up, which is the leg of grace, which essentially is, surrender back and around to it. And then he's covered in this sort of image of samsara, right? And he's working
Mm.
through it and he's dancing. He's
Mm.
dancing. So it's, it can be a little scary, but I
Oh
think
yeah.
people like you, maybe by proxy people like me, we can find some inspiration to continue on the path and know that, hey, there's a chance it could work out. And either way, if you're following your heart, hopefully you're going to have an interesting ride.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And fear is a very real thing for us. It is there, and it will probably never really go away for every one of us. But the question is like, are we able to see that it's a kind of like a veil, and are we able to lift it and look beyond
Mhm.
it?
Yeah.
And that's again where we come back to the most basic practices and the most basic things like meditation and stillness, and just sitting with ourselves, and there's no distractions, there's not even music maybe there's just your breath if you want to, and following your exhale to have one focus point at this point. But there's the thoughts and emotions raw coming up. There's no hiding from it in that moment, and that's a very scary thing to do.
Yeah.
Actually, probably one of the most scariest things is like to face all this noise within us that has been created. But it's also the only way to see it and to accept it, and then ultimately to transcend it. And this is why, yeah, meditation is still like it's a timeless thing, right? It's like, which and I heard a couple of times. I don't know if that, and maybe you know that, but that you can translate meditation as kind of like um, getting to know yourself, which
Mm.
fits very well for if that's true for what meditation is, because we create a lot of ideas and concepts around it, similar to all basically all things in life, right? We create the like
Wrap a
ideas and
story
concepts
around
around
it.
God and around this and that,
Mhm.
rather than just. And this is why I love Buddhism, because they just like they take shit as it is. It's like it's just no, it's like leave the stories away, like the talking around, and just try to see it as it is. And it's a very boring and also a very scary approach sometimes to
Mhm.
like let go of that. But I feel like it helps us to find back to the core of things, and ultimately to the core of ourselves as well, which is definitely beyond fear. And
Yeah,
then
I call it mental and emotional hygiene.
mm,
And you mentioned boredom. I think there's a value in allowing your mind to be bored because it constantly wants to be entertained, it
oh
constantly
yeah.
wants to plug in senses and have this sort of virtual reality. And letting it be bored and sitting and just letting whatever comes up, we find that it fluctuates. Um, this reconnection happens, remembering, bringing the members back online together, and your body has this
Mhm.
ability to process, to alchemize if we just get still and kind of get out of the way. So yes, I love Buddhism as well. I go to a Buddhist temple every Sunday, and it's like a
Nice.
big, 2 hour detox of meditation. So just letting go of everything we think we are and all
Mhm.
the limitations we put on ourselves so that we can, reconnect to that source and then live from that space. And that's a great service to the world, knowing
Oh
that you're
yeah.
doing that with such passion, not just, part of the results is that you're able to produce this music that's so, connected with you and your gifts and talents coming out. But you're also like raising your internal frequency, and then everything around you is just following suit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's a very inspiring thing to hear for me as well. And it's been on my list for some time that I
Mm,
finally want to go to Vipassana, and I want to spend some time in like dark retreats,
mm,
and that's definitely yeah, that's next for me as well. But yeah, it's also in music creation. That's also what I noticed, and this is why it moves. I don't know why I lived in two different worlds, like with spirituality and music creation, because now I just see how much it flows together, basically, and how similar it is. Because also in music, it's so much about letting go, like letting go of
mm,
yourself. Because ultimately, it's not me who is creating these tracks. It's me who is where they're coming through. Yeah, but for me to say like, oh, I had this idea would be bullshit. It's not coming from my, I don't know, like limited ego brain. Maybe some of them because I compared and I had some memory of a song and there's some inspirations coming there, but something like Rise or other songs that I created where I just like literally like felt okay, there was something coming through me in that moment. The idea was
mm,
there, and it's also like it's getting out of your way. And also on this end, that's still a challenge for me, is also like when you're sitting down on a project and you don't feel inspired and you're trying different stuff and you're trying out different sounds, and you want to continue but maybe you're just tired, or it just feels like you're not really progressing, and you're not really coming up with something. And then it's also for you to say like, okay, maybe there's something else for me
yeah,
to focus
maybe
on right
meditate.
now.
Yeah,
And
meditate
not
on it.
but that's something that's funny sometimes, where she like myself like, no, I just want to, and then the warrior spirit comes through. It's like, no, I want to finish it, like I want to push
Let's
through it.
go.
It's this
I love
delicate
you.
balance between like the artist who has to let go, and then the warrior who's not
Mm,
really letting go and who's like pushing through and with discipline and all that. It's like
mm.
yeah, it's funny.
It's nice to have the two worlds come together. I think you need a little bit of both. And,
Yeah.
sometimes I know from personal experience of recording a podcast for over 12 years is like some days you just kind of have to like, and once you get going, then you breathe, you come present and like, it flows through. So that inner discipline and fire is important too. So Lukas, it has been amazing to talk with you, and I'm so happy that
Yeah.
we connected. So can you tell my listeners how can they find you on the internet and find your music?
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. Yeah, so the music is I'm basically on all major streaming platforms. So if you type in Alchemy Sound, basically all capital letters, no space in between, so it's Alchemy Sound, all that. And you'll find me on Spotify, you'll find me on Apple Music, yeah, all these major streaming platforms where most of the music is, or all my music is. You can connect with me on Instagram, where I'm very active on right now, with content around the music and around the breath. And there's also a email list that I have, which is kind of like a closer circle. And very soon I'm planning to launch um, a community, closer community, where we can just connect a little bit deeper, running some breathwork there and sharing some special things within the community connected to the music, and just where we can connect and talk and share and just elevate
Awesome.
each
Any
other.
retreats or trainings in your future to like host?
Maybe it's not planned right now.
Hmm.
in terms of trainings. Well, I have a training which is more for breathwork coaches in the wellness space. It's called the Breathwork Audio Mastery Training, and I'm teaching coaches there how they can create their own high quality recorded audio sessions with music. So whether it's breathwork audio sessions or meditation audio sessions, and how to fuse it together in the highest quality possible with all the effects and all that in a very I'll say like definitely more simple and systematic approach. That's the training that I have as well. So and yeah, there's something that's definitely for everyone. I have launched a guide to remember yourself, which is something I'm really excited about, and I launched it a couple of months ago. I call it a guide, but it's actually it's just like it's more it feels